Part 1. The Flag That Never Came Down. Every Memorial Day, the wind in Gray Hollow carries something strange. It starts with a whisper, not from the mouths of people, but from a place deeper, older, just beyond the iron gates of St. Elmo's Military Cemetery. There, at the very center, rises a rusted flagpole, and at its peak, fluttering in the breeze that never quite dies, is a faded American flag. It's torn at the edges, washed out by sun and storm, but it never comes down. Not for repair, not for tradition. It stays, always flying. The locals call it the Whispering Flag. They say that at night, if you stand very still beneath it, you'll hear voices, not voices of the living, but whispers from beyond. The cemetery itself is quiet most of the year. Birds don't sing there. Flowers don't grow for long. Even the grass grows in crooked patches, like something underground is restless. No one remembers who the flag belonged to anymore. Some say it once covered the coffin of a soldier who was never named. A man found dead far from any battlefield, his tags missing, his body unclaimed. They buried him there alone and raised the flag in his honor. But that night, something strange happened. The wind howled through the trees with such force, it snapped the cemetery gate clean off. The soil at his grave cracked open. Though no storm had passed through, the next morning the groundskeeper found the flag raised again. Even though no one had touched it, it had climbed the pole on its own. That was nearly 60 years ago. Since then, the flag has never come down. And each Memorial Day, just after midnight, the air grows heavy, the wind begins to moan, and the flag begins to speak. Only a few dare to listen, but for those who do, the whispers carry stories, names, screams, and sometimes a soldier's final prayer. Part 2. The Dare. It started like most bad ideas do, as a dare whispered between nervous laughs and soda cans on a hot May afternoon. "Let's go to the cemetery," said Kyle. "Just past midnight, on Memorial Day. They say if you listen hard enough, the flag will whisper your name." The others laughed, Jenna, Malik, and Rachel, but they didn't say no. They were just kids, 17, maybe 18, old enough to know better, young enough to want proof. So at 11:59 p.m., with flashlights in hand and hearts hammering behind denim jackets, they climbed over the locked gate of St. Elmo's Military Cemetery. Inside, the air was still, too still. No insects chirping, no breeze rustling the trees. Just silence, like the earth itself was holding its breath. The flagpole loomed at the center, tall, skeletal, crowned with that ghostly scrap of faded cloth. But their laughter died when the wind picked up, not around them, but only at the flagpole. It spun the flag once, twice, then let it fall still, as if something had noticed them. Kyle stepped closer. "You hear it?" he whispered. Jenna shook her head. Malik flicked his flashlight toward the grave markers, all carved with names they didn't recognize, dates long faded by time. But Rachel froze. She turned slowly toward the flag, her eyes wide. It said my name. They all went silent. Then Malik laughed, nervous, too loud. "It's the wind," he said, "just messing with us." The flag spun violently on its pole. It snapped once, like a salute, then hung motionless. Rachel's lips parted. Her voice shook. "No, that wasn't the wind. It knew I was here." She turned to leave, and that's when the ground beneath her foot cracked. The others jumped back. A small, narrow sinkhole had opened, right at the foot of a nameless grave. A grave with no headstone, just a rusted stake. And beneath it, something white, bone white. The wind picked up again, and the flag whispered, this time louder. This time, not just one name, but 4. Part 3, beneath the rusted stake. The earth around the sinkhole was soft, like something had been disturbed recently. Rachel backed away, her breath catching in her throat. Jenna shone her flashlight into the pit, and the beam caught it. Not just a bone, a hand, pale and skeletal, curled as if still reaching for something or someone. Malik crouched beside it, a knot forming in his stomach. "There's something else," he said. He reached in with trembling fingers and pulled out a rusted dog tag. The name was barely legible, but it was there. Trivett William Hawthorne, KIA, May 30th, 1945. Kyle stepped forward. "That's today, May 30th. "No," Jenna whispered. "It's Memorial Day." They all looked up at the flagpole. The wind had stopped completely, but the flag fluttered once, defying the still air. Rachel stared at the tag in Malik's hand. Why was he buried like that? No coffin, no marker, nothing. No one answered. Because something else caught their attention then. A sound rising from the grave itself. It wasn't the wind. It was humming, soft and low, like a lullaby sung through clenched teeth. It came from deep underground, echoing through the earth. A sorrowful sound, full of yearning. They backed away, but Rachel didn't move. Her eyes glazed, her lips parted as if in recognition. "I've heard that song before," she said. "In my dreams." Kyle grabbed her arm. "We need to go, now." But Rachel resisted. "It's not trying to hurt us. It's calling out, asking for something." Jenna stepped closer to the grave. If this is Private Hawthorne, why was he buried in secret? Malik turned the dog tag over. On the back, in fate-etched letters, dishonored, forgotten, forgive me. The flag twitched, and then the whisper came again, clear, cutting through the air like a blade. Remember me. All four froze, because this time, the voice didn't just come from the flag. It came from the open earth below their feet, from the bones that had waited over 70 years, from a soldier whose story had never been told. Part 4. Letters in the Attic. They didn't sleep that night. Back at Rachel's grandmother's old farmhouse, they gathered around the kitchen table, dog tag in hand, questions heavy in the air. Rachel brought down an old tin box from the attic. I didn't think much of it before, she said, brushing off dust. But Gran kept these letters locked up, said they weren't meant to be read until the truth found its voice. Jenna opened the lid. Inside were yellowed envelopes, tied with a faded red ribbon. The top one was dated May 18th, 1945, and the name on the return address stopped everyone cold. Private William Hawthorne. Rachel's voice trembled as she read aloud. Dear Elizabeth, if you're reading this, it means I never made it home. I'm writing from a tent lit by lantern light, the night before we move out. I've seen things I can't explain. Things not just of war, but of silence. One of ours, one of the commanders, did something terrible. I tried to speak up. I tried, but they silenced me. If they send me back, it won't be to honor me. They'll bury me in shame. Not because I failed, but because I told the truth. Please, if I vanish, remember me not as a traitor, but as a man who tried to do what was right. Always yours, William. The kitchen was silent. The wind howled faintly outside, rattling the loose screen door. Jenna looked up. They buried him there in secret, labeled him dishonored so no one would ask questions. Malik whispered, they erased him. Rachel clenched her fists. Not anymore. She stood, eyes blazing. We dig it up. All of it. We give him a grave, a proper one. We bring his name back. Kyle hesitated. But what if it's more than that now? What if something else is tied to that place? Rachel didn't flinch. Then we set it free. Outside, the flag was still now. No wind, no voice. Just the silence of a name long buried. They returned to the clearing the next morning, armed with shovels, rope, and resolve. The ground was soft. It gave way too easily. Beneath the surface, remnants of cloth, cracked bones, and something else. A second dog tag, broken in half. Jenna picked it up, her voice cracked. Colonel Davis, U.S. Army, retired. What the hell is this doing here? Kyle asked. Malik's face paled. He's the one from the letters. The one William accused. They looked at one another. There weren't two bodies buried here. There were three. and the ground began to tremble, just slightly, as if something below had stirred. Part 5. His name in the wind. The wind picked up again. Not a breeze, something sharper. It howled through the trees like a cry, whistling past their ears, tugging at their jackets. The flag above the clearing snapped wildly on its pole. Rachel held the 2 dog tags tightly. He was telling the truth. William, he tried to expose this colonel. They killed him for it, buried them together to hide the evidence. Jenna's eyes were wide, but if Colonel Davis is here too, why is William's spirit the one calling out? Malik looked at the disturbed soil. Because the guilty don't scream for justice. Only the silence do. Suddenly, the flag ripped itself free from the pole. No hands, no touch. It twisted midair and landed. It wasn't fire. It wasn't sun. It was like a memory opening up. They saw William, a young soldier in full uniform, eyes haunted but kind, standing in the field. His body was translucent. His hand rested over his heart. He looked directly at Rachel, and for the first time, he spoke. "Thank you for hearing me." Jenna's breath caught. "You're free now." William nodded, but then he turned his head toward the woods. The trees groaned. Something else was coming. A second figure emerged, hunched, cold, cloaked in shadow. Colonel Davis. The light around William dimmed. The group instinctively stepped back, but William raised his hand. No more running. No more silence. The 2 ghosts faced each other, and as Rachel looked on, she saw it. William wasn't seeking vengeance. He wanted justice. He reached out, and light enveloped them both. The colonel screamed, a sound like metal scraping bone, before vanishing into ash. William looked back one final time, smiling faintly. Then he too was gone. The clearing went still. The wind stopped, and the flag, now back on the pole, fluttered once, gently. Days later, the group returned with local veterans and townsfolk. They held a ceremony, placed a new headstone in the clearing. Private Pilot William Hawthorne, 1919 to 1945. He died with honor. He spoke the truth. May he never be forgotten. Rachel placed the stitched flag beside the stone. As she stepped back, a soft breeze lifted her hair. A whisper in the wind, "Thank you."